This is the morning after, and there's a lot of head scratching and a lot of redefining of perhaps what this deal means to different countries around the world. Countries are putting their own definition, how it could impact them, and then U.S. lawmakers are suggesting perhaps this is moving too fast. We can't forget that it is U.S. law, so it doesn't give the White House a lot of leverage here in terms of ratcheting down sanctions without congressional approval. But I think the headlines in India here suggest how confusing this can be. This is the Times of India and two sections from the same paper. So relief for India as U.S. clinches deal to stop Iran making nukes. The sub-headline here, India can buy more Iranian crude. That's not clear just yet, by the way. They can't raise their imports, though, but they think they can save $8.5 billion over the next 6 months as the #2 client for Iranian crude. And then more controversially, perhaps, the Iranian-Pakistan-India gas pipeline, something that's been on the table for the last 5 or 6 years, something the U.S. has been resisting quite fervently. They're hoping to get that off the ground again. That may be premature as well. We'll see how it all plays out in the next 6 months. Another sub-headline, but in the same paper in the business section, the financial section, no relief for India on oil, but insurance gets easier. So India can continue to import, not raise the levels in the next 6 months as they were hoping, but at least they can get insurance for the shipments coming out. That's one of the issues on the sanctions. In fact, Secretary of State John Kerry went out of his way to suggest that the sanctions on the oil will remain very strict, although they can release some $4 billion of funds. This is what he had to say.
During this 6-month phase, the oil sanctions that will remain in place will continue to cause over $25 billion in lost revenues to Iran, or over $4 billion a month. That is compared to what Iran earned before this took effect, the sanctions.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, going back to when Iran was producing some 3.9, nearly 4 million barrels a day, 2004, 2005, and then the sanctions were phased in over time. It's fair to say, Rosemary, that the screws have been tightened against Iran every 6 months by the United States, the European Union, and the other Western powers. And one would argue this is what brought Iran to the bargaining table. To give you a sense of what they lose, it's 480 million barrels a year, roughly, give or take probably 10 million barrels of exports. This is costing them at least $48 billion a year, with oil trading at a record high, staying above $100 a barrel for the last 3 years. So extremely painful. They'll get some relief, but let's not jump overboard here and suggest that it's a new era for Iran in terms of oil revenues, at least.